Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Burlesque Baker. Today I'm going to show you how to make vegan and gluten-free mini cherry pies. And I'm going to be honest with you, the little mini lattice on top is a total bitch to make. So I'm also going to remove an article of clothing for every step that you stick with. So the first step is to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Done. And then we're going to make the dough. Alright, so first you need a cup of almond flour. Next up, you need a cup and a half of gluten-free flour blend, whatever you want to use, Bob's Red Mill. I use the Costco stuff. Just like that. And then we need 2 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2, mix it all together. And then we're going to add the butter. So we need 1 cup of butter. I use Smart Balance. So normally when you make pie dough, you want to use like a cold stick of butter and you cut it into cubes so it's in nice little pieces. Can't really do that with Smart Balance, so I usually just scoop it out by the forkful and throw it in there. And now we mash it together with that same fork. It's starting to come together. You can see once it gets to that point where it's coming together and it's just little chunks, that's when we're going to add the water. And then you want to add ice cold water. If you have like a Brita filter or something in your fridge, that is ideal to get it nice and cold. You want to use up to 4 tablespoons, but I just pour it in a little bit at a time. That looks pretty good. A little mushier than normal pie dough, but it should look something like that. Alright, so the last step, just scoop it all up with your hands. And we're going to wrap it up, put it in a little flat disc. And then we're going to put it in the fridge to cool for an hour before we roll it out so it gets nice and set up. So now, while we're waiting for the dough to set, we'll make the filling. So we're going to do half a cup of sugar. And then a tablespoon and a half of gluten-free flour. And now a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla, just a pinch of salt, and the most important part, the cherries. It's ideal if you can actually use like fresh cherries out of a garden. I couldn't do that right now, so I used the kind in a can. They're in the syrup, but I drained them and rinsed them off a little bit so they're not gross, sticky sweet. So do about 2 cups of those. So that is about what I have. And last, half a teaspoon of lemon juice. Which again, if you use fresh, it's even better, but you know, when you're poor, you gotta do what you gotta do. And now we mix it together. As soon as it's all together and you don't see any more flour or bits of sugar sticking out, it is good to go. Alright, so now we're gonna get ready to bake and grease them tins. You can use whatever kind of oil you want, canola, coconut, whatever, spray. I'm using canola so I can keep it vegan. And you want to be really generous, get it all over the top. And now we're going to put the cupcake wrappers in there. So now we're gonna split the dough in half. We're gonna roll out half now, and the other half we're gonna use for the lattice later, so we'll put it back in the fridge. So you can roll out the dough on flour, just on the table, or if you wanna make it super easy, this is what I like to do, is get 2 pieces of parchment paper and just roll it between them so it doesn't get stuck to anything. So I've got your rock hard dough. Still gonna put a little bit of flour on top of it. And this way you don't have to move the dough around or anything. All right. Perfect. Now we're gonna take our cookie cutter, slightly bigger than the muffin tin. Carefully peel it off. Try and get the center right in the middle. And then just press the sides in evenly. Beautiful. Okay, now it's time to put the filling in. So just get a spoon. I just try and spoon it in, make sure I get a little bit of the liquid in there too. And you don't want to fill it quite all the way, like 3/4, because you need to leave room for the lattice on top. So now that we're done filling them, we're gonna put them in the fridge while we roll up the lattice, because the lattice is super difficult and you want this as cold as possible. Now you're going to roll out the other half of the dough even thinner than you did before, maybe 1/16 of an inch. Magically done, look at that. And now we're going to cut it into little strips to do the mini lattice on top. Okay, now for the unbearably hard part, the lattice. Now we're just gonna brush the tops with some agave. We'll get it nice and brown on top. So now they're ready to go in the oven. We're gonna bake them at 350 for 30 minutes and rotate them halfway through. Voila! Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Burlesque Baker on all the things. You can follow my blog to get the whole recipe step by step, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more how-to videos and